Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to explore narrative design, one of the most exciting new features of Convey. Narrative design enables you to create characters that are able to follow objectives, giving you more control over what they say and how they act. To get started, let's create a new character. I'll call our new character Misty, select a voice, and then add in a backstory. I've pre-written this backstory, but it's essentially about a tutor that helps students explore simulation around the water cycle. Like a tour guide or a sales assistant, a tutor is an excellent use case for narrative design. At this point, you could have a conversation in the playground. But we want to add in the narrative design feature, so scroll down on the left menu and click Narrative Design. This will open up a new blank narrative design workspace. You can see at the bottom that you can create triggers and new sections. Sections are essentially an objective and one or more decisions that define what your character will say or do next. When we create a new section, you can see that we can give it a name, add in the objective, and add one or more decisions. For this simple demonstration, I know I'm going to need a total of 5 sections, so I'll go ahead and create those now. I want to set this up so when a student comes into the scene, the character will greet them and give them some kind of introduction. So we'll call this section Welcome and add in an objective. As mentioned before, the objective here is to introduce the student to the simulation and let them know generally what it's going to be about. I also want to add in a decision that helps the character decide when it's time to move on to the next topic or objective. So here I'll put in something like the student says that they are ready to start the tour. Of course, the student can say different variations of this, but the general idea is something along these lines will cause the character to move on. I'll go ahead and update this, and you'll see that Welcome is now connected to Section 2. So let's go ahead and edit Section 2. In this part, I want the character to discuss rivers and lakes in the context of the water cycle. Since I want the character to act like a tutor, I encourage the character to ask questions rather than just tell the student information. So that means asking open-ended questions like what the role of rivers and lakes are in the water cycle. To help the character move on to the next topic, I'll include the same type of decision as in the first section. Now I'll go ahead and create 2 more sections, including one on clouds and forests, and finally a concluding section. Make sure that you click on Update after changing the objective or the decision. In your application environment, you can use different methods to trigger objectives for a character. I'll add one here to get the character talking about the first objective. You can name a trigger and then add a message and a destination ID. In this case, we'll call the trigger Start. I'll add in a message, User enters the scene, and the destination will be the Welcome section. Okay, let's go ahead and update that, and now we can test this out by clicking on Invoke Trigger. If you click on the double arrows up here, you can open up the chat window and still see the narrative design workspace. Alright, let's see how this works.
This is a simulation created to demonstrate the wonders of the water cycle. Are you ready to embark on a journey through the different stages of the water cycle and discover its significance?
Yes, let's go.
Great! Let's start our journey by the river. Take a look at the flowing water.
Notice that once I confirm that I'm ready to go, the character moves to the next section.
I think it's coming from the forest.
That's a good observation. The water in the river does indeed come from various sources, including the forest. Now, why do you think rivers
If I click on the
flowing
lake
water?
section, you can see that the character is asking the question I specified in the objective. And now she'll linger on this topic a little more, following my instructions to ask a few more questions. Of course, if a student isn't able to answer a question, they can ask for help. For the sake of brevity, we'll skip along a little faster here. Note that the students may ask other questions based on their own interest.
Now, can you tell me what happens when these water droplets or ice crystals in the clouds come together?
Well, actually, I had a question. What's the difference between hail and sleet?
Ah, I see. Let's talk about the difference between hail and sleet.
And following that, the character will return to its objective.
So, while both hail and sleet involve frozen precipitation, the formation processes are different. Now, back to our discussion on clouds. Can you tell me what happens when these water droplets or ice crystals in the clouds come together?
At the end of the tour, I instruct the character to say one more thing that they haven't yet discussed about the water cycle, so you can see she's doing that here.
You've done a great job exploring the importance of water in forests. One more important aspect of the water cycle that we haven't discussed yet is the role of transpiration. Transpiration is the process by which plants.
Usually you'll want to make some changes to some of your objectives or decision points. Before doing this, clear the chat history to start a new session. Then go ahead and make the changes you want and try it again. In this example, I'll ask the character to mention the rapids in the lake section. You can see the character now mentions the rapids in this section.
Great. Let's start our journey by the river. Take a look at the flowing water and the rapids. Can you tell me where you think the water in this river is coming from?
Keep in mind that the backstory is still important in shaping your character, and you can also use our Knowledge Bank feature. For more information about that, see our Knowledge Bank video. Thanks for watching this quick intro to narrative design, and as usual, please feel free to join our Discord channel or reach out to us at support@convey.com.